Trace, there is fear of radiation leaks now as Ukraine claims its Chernobyl power plant is disconnected, presumably by the Russians, from the power grid. We're now joined by journalist from the Washington Free Beacon, Matthew Foldi. Matthew, obviously Chernobyl is a decommissioned plant since the disaster that Amy was talking about back in '86, but there is radioactive material there. How worried should the world be?
Well, to look at the big picture here, President Biden's foreign policy of humiliating our allies like Poland with the MiG fiasco and rewarding our adversaries like China, Russia, Venezuela, Iran with money for oil and also nuclear weapons down the road in the case of Putin's Iran deal is taking us back in time, right, to the stagflation of the Carter era and also potentially to nuclear meltdowns of 1986. And obviously the reason why we're talking about this now is because Biden has been so incredibly weak in the face of Russian aggression from Putin that we're now talking about a possible, catastrophe at Chernobyl. So I think you can never take these things too seriously. Obviously, we'll see what amounts to this here, but we should remember the reason we got here is because the Biden administration is so hell-bent on appeasing Putin, right? If Biden had been president in 1940 and Churchill was saying, hey, could we do Lend-Lease, it seems like his reaction would be, well, we don't want to risk escalating World War II into a larger conflict. So I think the reason why we're talking about a possible meltdown at Chernobyl is because, unfortunately, America has been incredibly weak, and Putin has been seizing on that weakness, with Chernobyl and his other attacks on Ukraine, including on civilians.
And Matthew, the White House would say in response to that they are building a really strong coalition here. They would say that NATO, rather than being weakened by this, is being strengthened, and the sanctions they're putting in place are crippling Russia and could ultimately lead to the downfall of Putin. What say you to that argument?
Well, most people in the Biden administration are failures from the Obama administration who could not get better jobs at Amazon. So in the Obama administration, when they were, of course, leading from behind, like in Libya, the Biden administration is actually leading from behind enemy lines, where we were bailing out Putin's war machine until finally common sense somehow reached the White House, right behind me, and said maybe we should stop funding Russian oil, and instead their solution is to fund Iran, to fund Saudi Arabia, to fund Venezuela, while we could be drilling here in America instead. Apparently that's off the table. So the White House can claim all at once that, this will lead to, an emboldened NATO. Fortunately, our European allies are filling the vacuum created by weakness from the Biden administration. So any of the positive outcomes that you're talking about are not because of leadership from President Biden.
Matthew Foldi of the Washington Free Beacon, thank